Okay, so Peter, what we're doing first is we're lining up the stencils just loosely. And basically I am overlapping my white mark on the bottom of this one, and I'm overlapping 1/4 inch here. So I'm trying to find out where all my areas are. I'm overlapping it and just making sure that all of these are lining up when I go 1/4 inch of my white over top of the 1/4 inch of the white there. And so these panels seem to be lining up really good all the way across here, and I'm 1/4 inch over. Okay, once I have my panels in place, so they've been measured, I have the centers, everything like that, the next thing I do is I go around and I mark out my corners. So I put tape at all the places right on the edge of the blue of where my different stencils are going to be at. Once I have those laid out appropriately, then now I know that I can take this one off because I had it already lined up where it needed to be. And then now I can finish off the corners for the one that was underneath it that's going to be going down first. Now that I have all my corners marked, this is when I'm going to use a hinge method. There's different ways that you can do the hinge, but what I'm going to do first is make a middle hinge. This is the method that I talked to you in the email about, and this is basically just making yourself a nice belt of tape going across, making sure that you span top and bottom so that you have plenty of tape down and that you aren't going to have this move anywhere out of the area of where you had already marked. Once I have that done, now it's still lining up in my spots, and what I end up doing is I peel back, okay, and this is where you will need a second person. Megan, could you help me for a second?
Yeah.
This is where we pull the backing off of the vinyl. Okay, and I'm going to have Megan help me hold the vinyl as I peel the backing off. So she'll just go slowly right along the edge, and I'm just being careful pulling this off and then making sure that I'm not taking off any blue things as I'm pulling it back. And so I'm going to go very slowly and carefully and watching all my little sections. Peeling back the vinyl. Backing just until it lays flat, and we want to stay away from that hinge because we don't want to disrupt anywhere that has been moved. Then we will take either scissors or a knife. I would take scissors because you don't want to cut on a wood floor. This happens to be our test floor, so it's not a big deal, but you want to cut that backing off. And now when you have two people, I could have Megan take one side and I take the other, making sure that we keep tension and we don't let it touch. If it touches itself, we're done. So we want to keep tension on it, and then we can flip it over. If it was just one person, I'm going to show you how to do that. Megan's going to just lay it down for me, and then I am going to show you how I would do it with one person. So I would grab the ends and I would go like this and carefully just walk my fingers back until I get to the top. This is very difficult sometimes, so make sure that it does not touch itself. But if you only have one person, that is the way to do it. And then now I am just going down and lining up with my tape marks again, right where it's supposed to be. Then what I want to do is I want to lightly fan out the air. Don't push down too hard or step on anything really. Just basically swimming out the air and pushing it to the edges. Once I get to that point, then I can go back and I take a squeegee and really push everything down hard. I'm not going to do that right now, but I explained that in the directions, and with the squeegees that we sent you, you'll be able to push down all the sections that you know are getting paint. Once that happens, then I can get rid of my hinge. So I carefully tear it up, especially when you get to this portion of it, so that you aren't peeling too much. Keep it low to the ground, and then now I have my own hinge made already, based on the other part being stuck down. So then I flip over to the other side, and it's the same process. Now I just have a hinge already made, so as one person I can grab this and just carefully work it back. And then repeat the process that I did on the first one, where I'm just going over this. I'm just going fast now on this feeder, but if you have any questions, you can give me a call. So same thing, I'm laying this down, matching up my corners. Fanning out the excess air. And there the panel is down. Nice, go back to the squeegee, finish this side off. Then your next step, once you have all of that taken care of, this is what you do. Then you end up grabbing the white transfer tape, and I keep it flat to the ground and pull back, making sure that none of my corners come up. You can even break it up if it gets too hard to pull back. You can break it up into just smaller sections, and you want to keep it flat to the ground, and you're taking off all of this top layer. Now, there will be spots where the vinyl doesn't stick down, or where it may have pulled up from the lay flat like this. What we want to do is we want to just take our squeegee and just flatten those out. If you can grab onto them every once in a while and just grab a piece and make sure that you're not manipulating or stretching it, but you can kind of just fan it back out and then push down so that you have a nice tight sealed edge. When all of the paper is taken off, you want to go back and definitely make sure all your edges are sealed so that there isn't any bubbles. If you happen to get a crinkle in one of them, so let's do that with this part right here. If you happen to get a crinkle, let's say the vinyl is pinched up like that, what you want to do is you want to take your knife and you would just cut out that crinkle and then repair with tape. So you'd want to find that same angle and be able to just repair that in with tape so that you don't have a seal where paint could leak into. Okay, so I'm not going to pull all the rest of this white. I'm just going to show the section so that you can see how it lines up. So then, when I'm doing the top portion, I'm getting rid of all of this vinyl that's here, and now I have my spots laid out for my second panel that's going to go over the top. I'm just going to show you quickly where that is going to sit when we end up taking off the top and bottom. So I've got my vinyl in place, and I'm just going to do a small little section here. So again, making my hinge across here. And then what I'm wanting to do is peel this back. I'm going to have Megan help me again. I'm peeling the vinyl back. then I am going to fold it over, making sure that I'm not touching anything. And you can see as I come down closer in this section, it'll be about a 1/4 inch overlap, and then things will line up. You'll have a 1/4 inch where you can see the blue from the last mask, the top portions of it. So right here, you can see the blue through the white. Okay, there's a little bit of overlap. Some things aren't gonna come out exactly perfect. They can easily be trimmed back, but you should be close in the same line with all of these different things if you had it lined up originally. Again, I did it really fast. So once you have that, then once it's all stuck down, then I can pull that paper and you'll see how much overlap I have and what you have to end up cutting out when it comes to doing the stencil, because obviously this should be continuous all the way through. So what I have here is the overlapping between the two, and it should be a 1/4 inch kind of all the way through. It's a little off because I did this one quickly, but if you go like this, then you'll end up cutting out all of this excess that's in here from these overlaps where the panels couldn't cut. And once I have that, then I can remove all of this interior stuff to make my logo look whole. Normally all the white would be pulled. I just didn't show you all of it. So the white should get pulled before every stencil before the next one that you put down. So here I'm just following the contour. And then same thing with here. And then once you have all your shapes cut out, then now this will be a continuous logo without the overlaps in between. And now this is the section that you're going to be painting. It's very important that you leave the stars down and don't cover these with anything, because you're going to want to leave this interior part when this entire thing's done painted. So when I go to pull up this stencil, let's say we have this all painted now completely. When I go to pull up this stencil, we're going to yank this all up and we are going to leave that little star in the middle down. That is your registration mark for your next panel. So if you start from this bottom panel the same way that you started when we laid out this whole first mask, if you start with your stars lining up, everything should line up all the way through. And I think that's pretty much it. Give me a call if you have any questions.